Hello and welcome to another exciting Minecraft Let's Play. I'm PhoenixB107 and in today's episode we are going to be going over the basics of redstone wiring. It can get very complicated, so I will be going step by step to try and teach you folks how to start with the basics, simple switch and lever mechanisms, and then eventually we will go on to more complicated things like pistons and multiple circuits all joined together. It can get very complicated and very amazing. There are hundreds of videos on YouTube that show some seriously complicated stuff, but here today we will be going over the basics. And in my hand I have a stack of redstone dust. This is gathered by mining redstone blocks, which you've seen me do in previous episodes. Now, redstone dust is basically your wire. You can lay it on the ground, and on one square without any redstone around it, you end up with just a pile of it, and then you can connect it up. And as you can see, it creates like a trail, a wire. Obviously, it doesn't look connected, but it is. And that's just a simple trail of redstone dust. It does have a small amount of power, but it's not enough to power any object, unless you put something on the other side of it. So, to power redstone dust, you need a redstone power source. This can be anything from a redstone torch, which is made with sticks and redstone dust on top, as if you would make a torch but without the coal, with the redstone instead. Or it can be a button, a lever, pressure plates, etc. I'll show you how to make a button. For a button you need stone, and you place one piece of stone on top of each other, and that gives you a button. If you want to make a pressure plate, it's one piece next to each other, side by side. So that makes you your stone. Let's use a button for now. To power it, obviously the button has to go on something, but you can't put it directly on the floor, so we will be putting down a cobblestone block, and the button goes on either of the sides will do, and that gives you a button. Now, powered devices are quite weird. The button technically is in this block, so you can't put a block there, but a redstone powered device will power any block next to it in any of the 6 directions, I think. Whatever. So pressing that button will actually transmit power into this block and through it. The block itself doesn't actually transmit. It doesn't give out any power. It just transmits it as if it was made of redstone. So with a block there, with redstone power leading next to it and out, with a button on the side, if you press that button, your redstone will start to glow. Obviously, a button is temporary. It's a momentary switch. It's push to make. So you push it, and it completes your circuit and gives you a nice glow and a bit of a fizzle. So that's how you can power it. You don't have to use a button. You can use a lever, which is made out of one piece of cobblestone on one stick. Above it gives you a lever. Levers are toggle switches. They are in a on-off state. At the moment it's off. When you flick it, it's on, and it will stay on until I flick it off. So obviously it completely depends on what kind of circuit you'll be wanting, or whether it's momentary or if it's permanent, like that. You can also use a redstone torch. Oops. That actually doesn't want to be on the side of the block or above it. It needs to be over here, next to it. So redstone directly next to it creates another power source, but that one is permanent until the torch is removed. Redstone itself actually only transmits 15 blocks. So if you have a particularly long circuit and you stick a lever there, as you can see, it gets to here and stops fizzling. That's 15 blocks. and that's as far as it will go, unfortunately. But there are ways around that. You can use a thing called a redstone repeater. This is fairly complex. You need a crafting table to make it, and it's a layer of stone at the bottom, and then I believe a redstone torch on either side and a piece of redstone in the middle. So that's a redstone repeater. 3 stone across the bottom, and it has to be stone. I don't think cobblestone works, but we'll have a try. No, it doesn't. It has to be stone. So 3 pieces of stone across the bottom, 2 redstone torches, and a redstone dust gives you a redstone repeater. Redstone repeaters are actually fairly complex. We'll go into those later on. For now, you can use them as a power extender, so to speak. You break your circuit. Doesn't matter where it is, as long as it's either in the powered line or the block after the powered line. And you put down your redstone repeater, and it expands the power. As you can see, it's highly powered here, very strong signal, and then it tapers off, gets weaker and weaker, and then boom, more powerful again. Now redstone repeaters have different settings. That's the standard setting. I believe it's because the redstone repeater can be used as a time delay as well as a diode, and like I said, I'll go into that later. They have multiple settings, but for now you just want to leave it on the first one, so that when the switch is flicked, it's instant. Because if it's on its end setting, it has a slight delay. As you can see, you flick the switch and then it comes on, and then it goes off, like that. Can you see the time delay? I believe that's a 4 millisecond time delay, but we just want it as 1, so it's damn near instant. So that's how you lay out your redstone dust to make wiring, and that redstone repeater to extend your wiring. Now obviously if you want to power something, you need something to power. I'm going to use iron doors. You build these in the same way that you build a normal door, just just 6 blocks of iron in the far left column and the middle column will give you an iron door. Now iron doors can't be opened by themselves. You can't click them to open them. They have to be powered, and you put power into it and it will open the door. That's its natural off state. With the door closed, when it has power it will open. Like that. See? Naturally closed, boom, open. Some people, when they come to building houses, they have a button, but it really doesn't give you very long to walk through it, unless of course you set a timer, in which case you can push the button and walk all the way through. It's quite fun to mess around with redstone circuitry. Like I said, it can get quite complicated. But for now, redstone dust. Next, I don't know what we'll go over next. I'll have to have a think. Obviously, you see me power the minecart with a flick of a button. We only need that as a momentary thing, because it just needs enough power to get it from the top block and push it down. You don't need a lever for that, otherwise when you get to the end it would keep trying to push you. So just a button works fine with that. Yes, pistons. Pistons are very interesting. I absolutely love pistons. There are so many things that you can make with them. So let's do a simple piston. Alright, I'll get this set up, back in a sec. Alright, I'm back and I've got my materials. Now there's my piston setup. Now to make a piston you need a crafting bench, you need cobblestone, you need wood, you need 1 block of iron and some redstone dust. And all you do is you make a 2 bits of cobblestone there as if you were to making boots, a block of iron in the middle, a block of redstone dust right there, and 3 bits of wood. And that gives you a piston. Now a piston is basically like a pneumatic pusher. You'll see it working in a second. That's a piston. To make a sticky piston you put a normal piston in with a slime ball above it. You saw me gather the slime balls. I've also actually begun making a slime farm. That'll be for a later episode to show you that being made though. But yeah, that's your pistons. And basically in their unpowered state they are just a normal block, but when they are powered they extend out 1 extra block. Actually, yeah, 1 extra block. They can be really quite useful for certain things. For instance, if you want to move a block, you put a block on top, give it some power and it'll move that block up. But that block will stay there unless that is a sticky piston. With the use of a sticky piston, now then you have to be careful when placing pistons, because if they face you whichever when you place them. So if I place it right here, it faces me, as you can see. So in order to get them up, facing upwards like that, you have to do the hop jump technique. And then you place a block on top, give it some juice, block moves up, take away the juice, block moves down. Whereas with a normal non-sticky piston, you give it the juice, you take away the juice, block stays still. Simple, really. And then to extend your circuit, tell you what, we'll use a normal piston for this. Actually no, we won't. We need a sticky one. Ah, damn it. Oh yes, that's the problem with these. They have to have power going directly into the block, and at the minute it's not going into it, it's going onto it, down the back of it. So we are going to have to build this up. Like that. And that's going to grab that block when its power is removed. Just like that. So using some basic circuitry and some time delays, you can make it so that one piston moves, pushes a block up, the other piston grabs it and pulls it back. So you can move blocks around. That's pretty much how I made my hidden floor back at my house. I will do a tutorial on it, but it is quite lengthy. But I definitely will. Now, for instance, if you wanted a piston on, but to turn on when everything else is off, but then off when everything else is on, you need to make an inverter. Now, an inverter is simple. It's just a block like that with a redstone torch on it. So the redstone comes in, that's off, goes into the block, redstone torch, and your wiring goes out. So that block is now activated. The piston is now activated, even though the rest of them aren't. But then when you flick this, it turns the rest of these two on, but deactivates that redstone torch, which then deactivates that piston. That's the basics of an inverter. A block with a redstone torch on it. So then when you click that, they swap over. Marvellous, really, isn't it? What else can we go over? Let me have a look here. We could go over logic gates quickly. Logic gates are quite easy. Well, actually, some logic gates are easy. Yeah, okay. Let's make a quick AND gate. It's the first logic gate that you ever really come to. These will be. Oops, that's not what I meant. That needs to go there and there. These are your two inputs, like so, and then you have that there, a redstone torch there, leading out, and a redstone joining like that, I believe. Oh no, wait, no, that's not right. What does it have in them? Oh, it needs two torches either side, sorry. Like so. So you turn these two off, that's on. So yeah, an AND gate is basically when two inputs are active, the output is active. So at the minute these are off. Remember, like the inverter, that is powered because that's not powering that. Excuse me. It's where it gets a little bit complicated. But basically, you have two inputs. It can be whatever you want: switch, pressure plate, whatever. And if you turn one of them on, it's still the output is still null. But when you turn both of them on, it turns these two redstone torches off, which allow this one to turn back on, which then gives you an output. You can use that for many things. For instance, if you had a series of AND gates, you could create a secret locked door. So imagine if you had two AND gates together, or three in fact. You'd need an AND gate for the two AND gates, I think. Wait a minute. Anyway, I'll come to locking doors later. Imagine you had a series of these, or like a 6-input AND gate with hidden switches and whatnot, and only when all of the switches were pulled would the door open, especially it being an iron door. Yeah, there are tutorials out there about like combination locks and stuff. I'll do one if people want to see it. Alright, let me clear this room. Alright, room's clear. I think I will go into more detail about the redstone repeater. This is our redstone repeater. It has a direction because it can be used as a diode. So you have a trail of redstone wire with a repeater in the middle, and if you were to power that end, the power goes all the way through. It all depends on which way you face when you place it. It acts as a diode, so whichever way you face when you place it is the way that it will allow the power to transmit. Right, so if you put it on the other side of it, like that, it stops there. So this way you can have, other circuitry coming off here, which then go to various devices, whatever it is that you want. And then you can have two inputs. So imagine that you've got, more circuitry leading off here. I don't know. There are hundreds of uses for a diode. So you flick this switch. Oh, it's lagging a bit. What's going on here? Flick this switch and the door opens and the piston moves. Like, so you flip that and they all open, and yet you flip that and only 2 of them open. See? Because that redstone. 1 second. Right, back. Sorry about that. Yes. So that's it as a diode. Like I said before, it can be used as a delay. You can make lots of things with redstone repeaters. Obviously, the more repeaters that you put in a row, in series, will affect it as a time delay. So, for instance, if you had like that, and then set these all to maximum, you would have quite a delay. How many is there? 5? I think that would be 2 seconds. Yeah. Quite a delay. Obviously, the more you put in series, like I said, the longer the delay will be. Yeah. So that's them as a diode and as a delay. You can also use them to make clock counters, and then hundreds of different kinds of circuits that can be made. So look, you got delay circuits, clock generators. In my main save, I use a redstone repeater circuit as an actual signal repeater. If you have, I think I can remember how to do it. I'll clear this out 1 sec. Alright, I am back. This is actually a re-record. Actually not, it's a re-record. I previously recorded it, re-recorded it, and I found out that Fraps' recorded, the recorded videos from Fraps that I then convert and then upload are absolutely massive. So, like 13 episodes was 400 and something gigabytes. So halfway through actually about 12 seconds into the re-record, it stopped recording, but I had been speaking to myself for about 5 minutes before I realised that it was no longer recording. So, embarrassment points for me, but basically this is what I have now recorded 3 times. At the end of the video, the reason I first re-recorded it, by the way, was because it corrupted, so I couldn't convert them and I couldn't view them, so there we go. That's the life of Fraps. So here we go. 2 timer circuits. One is very simple, but full of problems, and one is not so simple, kind of spacious, and but works just fine. Works perfectly well. Right. I'll show you the simple one first. It's like I said, it's full of glitches because it's technically a bug, technically a glitch. This switch puts power into these blocks, and these blocks transmit that power into each redstone torch, which turns them off, as we know from probably the beginning of this video. It's been a while since I actually recorded that episode. It takes a while for me to convert them and then upload them, and then I want to play World of Warcraft, so I can't be uploading them while I'm playing and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, it puts power into the blocks, and then the blocks turn off the torches. But when you take away the power, each torch tries to turn itself on. But having 2 power sources into the same thing like this causes one of the redstone torches to burn out. And when they burn out, it then allows a different torch to power up. And for some reason, because it's such a wonderful glitch, which works really quite well, the torch, when burnt out, usually you have to replace it. You don't. It just kind of burns out for that cycle and then comes back just fine. So I'll show you this one working. That's it burning out. You see the black dust coming off it, and then it works just fine again. And I'll do that, and yeah, it's a very fast output, very nice pulse. not too regular, because they each burn out differently. So sometimes you get, when measured, this pulse is not, it's not perfect. It's kind of erratic, but it's good enough for what I use it for, and I use it for my automated chicken farm, which there is a tutorial for, and you should check out because it's a good one. It's a good project. It's only half finished at the minute. The tutorial that it was taken from was from my main save, which is a perfectly working tutorial, which is a perfectly working automated chicken farm, of which I did make a video of, and so I made the tutorial video to show you how it's done, and this is the little clock or timer circuit that I use to pulse the dispensers in that. This is the other one. It's a bit more complicated. You start here, you put a block down, and then redstone torch on, which is classed as this block. Then dust, block, torch, dust, block, torch on this side, dust. This is where your output will be. That's the output that will be pulsed, and this is the input to turn all of this off. Because while there's power in here, this block has power which transmits it to this redstone torch, which turns this redstone torch off, which takes the power from here, which allows this redstone torch to activate because there's no power near it, which then turns this torch off, which allows this one on, this one off, etc, etc. So you take power away and they loop round. It's a very nice little timer circuit. It's not the most compact. People have made it more compact by using dual layers and whatnot, but that one works just fine. But like I said, it's fairly erratic and it's a very fast pulse, so not everybody wants a fast pulse. I'll show you this one working quickly. There you go. You see, power goes in, power goes round in a nice little loop like that, and that's your output. Blink, blink, blink. So it's a fairly slow output. For instance, the reason that I don't use this one is not because of space. I have plenty of space. It's because of the speed of the output. When I have it linked into my main save, I have a large row of dispensers going back that way, say, and obviously to carry the power signal all the way I need to use redstone repeaters, and those redstone repeaters have a minuscule delay. It's 0.1 of a second, I believe, but by the time that the signal has gotten to the very end, this has pulsed and missed one. So the dispensers closest to you catch all the pulses, so they pulse, and they spit out eggs just how they're meant to. But the ones at the very end miss, I think, half, if not 3/4 of the entire cycle that the other ones receive. So they pulse, once every 2 seconds instead of half a second or whatever it is like that. So I don't use this one, but this one is good for a lot of other applications. I mean, if you're only dispensing one thing, then it's perfect, because dispensers can only dispense every half a second, I think, anyway. Something like that. So this one, when fed through all the repeaters, because it pulses so quickly, the pulse, by the time it gets to the very end, a new set of cycles has begun for the dispensers at the very beginning. So they end up pretty much perfectly synced. If not, the only difference is the actual redstone repeater delay in between them. Whereas with this one, it's probably about at least 2 seconds, I'd say. But so the ones close to pulse, and then 2 seconds later, those ones pulse. By which time these ones have already pulsed a couple of times already. Whereas this one, because it pulses so fast, the signal pretty much doesn't have time, because the dispensers pick up the signal only half a second or so anyway. And so this one works perfectly. They all pulse pretty much exactly the same time. Now, I did go on in this video about how there's a new update for it. I don't know what the update was, but I have been through my messings about with Minecraft. I learnt that in one of my videos I showed how to dye wool by getting your, I might as well show you again, not in that one, that's the wool that I put in it. Yeah, you get your roses, and you get your shears, which I've already got on me, and you put your roses in there, and then you get rose red. So then you get the dye, and you get a bit of wool, like this. Put your wool there, you put your dye there, and you get a red wool block. Whereas I learned if you put the dye in your hand and actually physically go up to your sheep, they will still be red because, like I said, I'd already added this to the end of my video. You can actually dye the sheep. So you dye the sheep and then you use the shears on them, and you get, you know, I think between 2 and 5 blocks instead of just the 1 block dyed per piece of dye. So there's a small update that I learned. That's been around for a long time, it seems. I just didn't pick up on it. But there you go. I don't think anything else has changed. I'll tell you what, yeah, like in the other video, I gave a quick sneak peek. I don't think... You'll have to forgive me, I'm confused because at the minute I don't know whether or not this video comes before or after the automated chicken farm tutorial that I'd begun making. This is half of it. This is the collection part. The dispensers will run across there, and basically you'll have 2 switches, one here that you flip and it'll dispense eggs, that one, and it will collect the eggs. So all your chickens and all your eggs go down there. You'll see the tutorial for this later on. I don't want to give away too many details, and then you simply just climb down here. After, of course, you've closed your gate, because you don't want sheep getting in here, because they will clog up your stuff. So yeah, and then you come here and you just slaughter yourself some chickens. Obviously they don't put up much of a fight, and you get lots of experience for it, which is nice. One thing I did read about the update was that ladders will no longer have this, or they don't already have, I think, that bit where you can stand on top of a ladder. So they've gotten rid of that, as they no longer have a proper hitbox. Although they said the same for gates, that you can walk. Yeah, you can now walk straight past the gate without getting stuck on it. That was something about the update. Paul Soros Jr. went into that. That's pretty much it, really, that I needed to say. Got the yeah, done all the timers. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I don't know when I'll be back because the next episode to this was recorded like a week ago, so I don't know where I am anymore. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. See you next time. Bye bye.